Hey trail travelers, it's Carrie, and today we're answering the top 10 questions that you have about your Jeep. So stay right there. We'll be right back. All right, the definitive top 10 list of questions that are asked every day on Facebook, answered right now. Here we go. Number one, what kind of oil should I put in my Jeep? Read the owner's manual, okay? Or here's a thought. Open up the hood of your Jeep, look at the oil spout, the filler cap, it'll say right on it. And you should run synthetic oil. But again, it's in the owner's manual. Read it. It has lots of good information in it. But that one is definitely one for the owner's manual. Plus, it's right on the top of your engine. So if you ever forget, look on your engine. It's right there. Number two, what kind of gas should I use? It's in the owner's manual. And it's different for different vehicles. Some of them are going to say 87, some are going to say 91. Read your owner's manual. It tells you what kind of gas to use. Should you run premium gas to get better gas mileage, regardless of what the owner's manual says? No. Premium gas is not better gas. Premium gas is only a higher octane, which means that the combustion cycle takes place at a different point in the compression. So some octanes are going to be a little earlier, some are going to be later, depending on your engine and how it's manufactured, and the tolerances and whether it's got boost or not will determine the type of fuel that you need. So if you're unsure, read your owner's manual. If you don't have an owner's manual, it's online. So check it out. Good information in there. Lots of good stuff. Number three, what tire pressure should you run? Now this may not actually be in the owner's manual, but the correct answer is it depends. Depends on the weight of your vehicle, how it's loaded, the ambient air temperature, the type of tires that you're running. There's a huge range of variables that determine what tire pressure you should run. Now, there is a way of figuring this out. It's called the chalk test. And you take a piece of chalk and you draw a line across your tire and you go drive around the block a couple times and you come back. And if there's no wear on the chalk on the outside, you're overinflated. If there's chalk on the outside but not in the middle of your tire, you're underinflated. And you figure it out from there. The exception to this is Milestar Patagonias. They actually are designed with a crown so that the kind of the oval part of it is for the street and then the outside of it is for off-road. And so when you air down, you're getting a bigger contact patch, but when you're aired up, it's more of a concave shape on the tire, which provides better road noise or less road noise. All other tires that I know of, they want to be flat across the whole surface. And this one is probably going to stir some debate, but bear with me on this one. Is it safe to run spacers on your tires to get more offset? So the short answer is yes. It is safe given that they are hub-centric spacers, they are properly torqued down, and that you torque them or check the torque, make sure they're properly torqued down every time you rotate your tires. If you do that, you will never have problems, or should, because yeah, I know better than to say you will never have a problem, but you should never have a problem because it is perfectly, or normally perfectly safe to do so. Of course, there's extremes where something breaks and it just can't be helped, but the fact that it's a spacer in and of itself is not unsafe. Now, people will tell you, no, it's better to get a tire with the proper offset so you're not putting as much wear on the bearings. That makes no sense. If I have a 2-inch spacer or I have a wheel with a 2-inch offset, it's exactly the same. There is no difference in the amount of stress or anything else that's happening because of that spacer. It is exactly the same issue as running a tire with the same, or a wheel with the same offset. Now, that can be a problem. If you have way too much offset and your tires are sticking out way too far, you are putting extra strain on your axles, your bearings, and everything else, and you can end up with a problem. But it's not spacers in and of themselves. It's a problem. It's having too much offset just to be sticking your tires out. So, definitive answer on that. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. We are number 5. Can you take your Jeep with a soft top or the one-touch top, one-touch sun top, whatever it's called, through an automatic car wash? The answer is yes. So long, and now it may not be an issue to take it through any automatic car wash, but my caveat is as long as it is a no-touch car wash, meaning it's only spraying water, it's spraying foam, and it's spraying water again, that's fine. If you have one with the brushes, something can happen. It can tear it up. Plus, if there's any dirt or anything stuck in those brushes, it can really tear up your paint. So I never recommend taking any vehicle through a car wash that has spinning brushes. Just don't do it. A automatic car wash that has not is a contactless, it's only using high pressure spray, totally fine, not an issue. You'll never have a problem. I've done it with my soft top. I've done it with when I had my Sunrider HT. I know plenty of people who have the one-touch power tops. No problem. If you are getting leaking, it's not inherent to the design. It's a leak somewhere that you need to have checked. So get on that with your dealer, but it's not something that's inherent to the Jeep. Why do people love or hate the Mopar lift? This is another one that will spark huge debate on social media. And, well, let me just get to it. The Mopar lift was the biggest mistake I ever made when I built my Jeep. Bar none. Absolutely worst mistake I made. But let's talk about it. So the Mopar lift, on the plus side, the lift itself is fully warranted by Jeep should there be any problem, so long as it was installed by your dealer. Okay? So that's fine. What some dealers will try and tell you, and what other people online will try and tell you, is that by installing a third-party lift, you are voiding your warranty. That's not true. That is illegal for them to do. What you're doing is you're voiding the warranty on those parts that you've put on there because they're no longer factory parts. So what? Now, should you have some other issue, you have an axle go out, can they claim that you are not under warranty because you have a third-party lift? Well, they can claim it, but then they have to prove it. And there's a law in place that says that they cannot do that unless they can prove that those components that you added contributed to the failure of the warranted parts. Then they can actually void your warranty. But when we're talking about the parts that are on a lift, which are springs, control arms, track bars, that's it. If you have a major failure of one of those, they're really not going to cause any other problems. You're going to have an issue with that component. You get it fixed and you're back on the road. A failure of a control arm isn't necessarily going to throw out your gears or your bearings or your engine or anything else. It's not going to happen. So the people who are claiming that it's a warranty issue are slightly mistaken. And while there are anecdotal stories of people having their warranty turned down. It's something that you should pretty easily be able to fight if there's an issue. Now, why do I say it was the biggest mistake I made? Well, it was a waste of money. Every single part on there has now been replaced, with one exception. So my track bars have been replaced, my control arms have been replaced, my springs have been replaced. The only thing that hasn't been replaced, because I didn't need to, is the sway bar links. Don't need to replace them, no reason to. Those are fine. The only good part about the Mopar lift. What happens on a lift? When you lift up a vehicle, okay, because the length of the components have not changed, your axle is going to move. I did a video on that before, so check up above. I'll put a link to that video about why you need adjustable track bars. And so as you lift, your axle shifts and now it's no longer centered. So you need to add an adjustable control or adjustable track bar, not included in the Mopar kit. Okay. The bushings on the control arms, they're as close to being hockey pucks as you can get. They're hockey pucks with a stick through them or a bolt through them. So they don't have a lot of free movement, and they will bind up as you begin to flex. So it's going to limit the amount of articulation that you have. When you go to a metal cloak or a JKS or a rock crawler or a name brand lift, those ball joints in there are going to be much smoother. They're not going to bind up. You're going to have smoother movement of the entire suspension, and you'll get more articulation. So, yeah, the control arms, the bushings, those are a problem. The fact that it doesn't come with an adjustable track bar, that's a problem. And third, regardless of what I have heard many people say, those springs suck. They are horrible. And you may absolutely claim that I'm wrong and that your Jeep runs great on the Mopar lift with those springs and you are totally happy with it, and that is entirely your right to your opinion. But I have to ask, have you ridden in a built Jeep that has a good lift and good springs? Because if you haven't, then you have nothing to compare it to. And I have, and that's why I didn't like mine. Mine felt very stiff. Every little rock was just bone shattering when we were on a trail. So now all my suspension components are metal cloak and my springs are JKS dual rate springs. Love the setup. So I misspoke. I said the only thing from the Mopar lift that is still intact is the sway bar links. That's not true. It is the sway bar links and the Fox shocks. The Fox shocks, totally fine. Absolutely fine. The roughness I was getting was because the springs were so stiff. So there's the Mopar lift for you. All right. What mods should I get first for my Jeep? How do I know? I don't know what you're doing. Are you building a mall crawler? Are you building a rock crawler? Are you building a trail vehicle? Are you building an overlander? No one can answer this but you. And what you need to do before dumping money into mods is to figure out what are you going to use your Jeep for. So once you go out and you explore and you get used to using your vehicle, it will tell you what do you need. Do you need bigger tires? Maybe, maybe not. Do you need camping gear? Maybe, maybe not. Do you need a winch and recovery gear? Well, probably. If you're off-road, you should have recovery gear, which may mean you might need a new bumper. So those things will dictate what you do. So don't just start throwing money at it, especially just to get the hot thing like Angry Grills. Figure out what you actually need and spend your money wisely. Don't do things that you're going to regret or pull off down the road because you're just not happy with them. What should you name your Jeep? I gotta wonder if the people who ask this online. Do you go online to ask what to name your kid or your dog or your cat or whatever? naming an animal or child or a Jeep for that matter should be a personal thing. It should be something that speaks to you. Maybe you never come up with a name because it's not really that big of a deal. But if you really want to have a name for your Jeep that has some meaning, it shouldn't come from the internet. It should come from you. I'll tell you the story of how my Jeep got named Optimus. All right. It's a big blue Jeep. Love it. Has some red accents, on the Rubicon logo. And my friend's family were in Universal Studios in California. And they went on the Transformers ride. And when they finished, my friend's son said, if Optimus Prime was a Jeep, it would be Carrie's Jeep. All right, Optimus it is. So that's how my Jeep got the name Optimus. So it should be something personal. It shouldn't be something that you're just taking from random strangers. I think it really should be something that has some meaning to you. All right, number 9. What is this thing about ducking and rubber ducks? It was something that was started by a woman, I believe, in Canada just last year, to try and lighten up her day, to try and, random act of kindness. That's really what it's about. It was about doing a random act of kindness. And there's some people that are for the ducking thing, and there's some people who are against it, and there's some that swear it's a Jeep tradition. Well, but it's only been less than a year, so it's not really a tradition. It's just a new fad. When it's been going on for 10 years, I think we can call it a tradition. Right now, it's a fad. So, me, I don't care. It doesn't. It's not going to make my day to get a duck. I have a very happy life. I'm very, I'm not a miserable person. I don't have issues. My life is not so horrible that if I walk out and I see a duck on my Jeep, I'm just going to be like, oh, that really made my day. That's not me. So I really don't care about the whole ducking thing. And others, they're just like, oh, well, you're a horrible person because you don't like ducking. Whatever. Okay. So to each his own. If you want to go spend your money on bathroom toys and hand them out, that's on you. I really don't care. But that's kind of the story of it. And if you want to participate. If you don't. I'm not going to go buy ducks to go hand out. I think it's silly. Okay. And the final question. Am I supposed to wave at gladiators? Who cares who you wave at? It's not a Wrangler thing. It's a Jeep thing. You can wave at a freaking Renegade if you want to, or a Liberty. You can wave at a Bronco. Heaven forbid. You can wave because you're trying to be a nice person. So there's no rule that says who you can and cannot wave to. Just be a nice person. Is that really asking so much? If you happen to think about waving to somebody, wave to somebody. If you wave at somebody and they don't wave back, maybe they don't know anything about it. Maybe their dealer didn't tell them. Maybe they bought it used and no one told them that there's a thing about waving to each other. It's kind of a thing. So, unless they're on Facebook and reading about it, they may never know. So don't get upset when someone doesn't wave back to you. They just simply may not know about it. Or maybe they're distracted. Maybe the sun's in their eye. Maybe they're dealing with something going on in their vehicle. Maybe they're trying to be a safe driver. Who knows? Don't get upset because someone doesn't wave at you. It's not the end of the world. Things happen. I try, but I'll be sitting there looking at traffic and go, oh, someone was waving at me. I'm sorry. But things happen. So don't worry about it. So there's my top 10 questions about your Jeep that you should know about. If you have some more, put them in the comments below and maybe we'll do another video about it. So thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this a little bit. This has been Kerry. Please like, share, and subscribe, and stay safe out there. We'll see you on the trails. Bye-bye.